We're about to dive into some of the smallest words in the English language, but honestly, they might just be the most powerful. They're the little guys that give our sentences shape and clarity and make everything make sense. So today, we're going to master these little words that do all the heavy lifting, prepositions. It's a really fair question, isn't it? I mean, we use them all the time without even thinking about it. They almost feel invisible, but if you take them away, a sentence just completely falls apart. So what is their real job? And this is the perfect way to think about them. Prepositions are like this invisible glue that holds our nouns, our pronouns, and all our phrases together. They connect everything and show us how different parts of a sentence relate to each other, whether it's about time, space, or just plain logic. Okay, so here's the official textbook definition, but really it all comes down to one thing: relationships. A preposition takes a noun, say the table, and connects it to the rest of the sentence, telling you where it is, when something's happening, or how it's all connected. All right, let's get our hands dirty and look at the most common single-word prepositions. You already know these, for sure, but seeing them in action like this really helps it all click. We're going to go through a few quick-fire examples. Simple, clear. Across tells you exactly where the shop is in relation to the street. It's not next to it, it's not on it, it's across it. See how that one little word just paints the entire picture for you? Another classic. On creates a very specific spatial relationship. The keys are right there, physically resting on the surface. Without that word, you just have the keys, the table. No clue where they are. Perfect. Under instantly tells you the bag's position relative to the chair. It's a word that creates that vertical relationship in your mind's eye. And look at this. Prepositions aren't just for location. Here, with shows us a relationship of, well, accompaniment. It tells us who she came with, connecting the two people in the sentence. So cool. Okay, time to level up a little bit. Sometimes a single preposition just isn't quite specific enough to get the job done. So what happens? Well, they team up. They form a little squad to create a more powerful unit. And this is the key idea right here. Words like in front of or because of, you don't read them as three separate words. They act as a single grammatical piece to express one more complex idea. Just look at how these multi-word phrases work, exactly like the single words we just saw. According to tells you the source of the info. Because of gives you the reason why. They're doing the exact same job, just with a little more detail. Okay, so instead of trying to memorize a super long list of words, which is, let's be honest, kind of boring, it's much more useful to understand what prepositions actually do. And it turns out they basically have four main jobs in a sentence. Once you get these, everything just clicks into place. So here's our roadmap. Prepositions can tell you when something happens, where it is, which way it's moving, and how it's done. Time, place, direction, and manner. Let's break each of those down. First up, time. These are the prepositions that anchor an event in time. And notice the different levels of detail here. At is for a super precise time, on is for a specific day, and in gets broader, like for a month or a year. Then you have words like for to show how long something lasts, and since to mark a starting point. Next up, place. These are probably the ones we think of most often. They just pinpoint an object's location. Is it inside something, on top of something, or maybe it's surrounded by a bunch of other things? These words give us our bearings in the world. All right, now let's get things moving with prepositions of direction. These are so important because they imply movement from one point to another. You're not just in the room, you walk into it. You don't just exist near the road, you run across it. They add all the action and energy. And finally, we have manner. This category is all about explaining how something was done or who did it. So a book is written by someone, that's the agent. You cut something with a tool, that's the instrument. These prepositions add that crucial layer of detail about the how or the who. Okay, this brings us to a really practical part of this whole thing. There are certain pairs of prepositions that are just notoriously easy to mix up. So let's put them side by side and clear up the confusion once and for all. Okay, in versus into. Here's the big difference. In describes a fixed position, a location. Into describes the action of entering. It always implies movement. Think of it this way. You end up in the room only after you walk into it. Location versus motion. Simple as that. A classic rule that's super helpful to remember.
Between is what you use when you're talking about two separate, distinct things. A point between A and B. Among is for when something is part of a bigger group, three or more things, where it's all kind of mixed together.
And here's another key distinction. By points to the agent, the person or thing that's actually doing the action. Who wrote it? It was written by him. With points to the instrument, the tool that was used for the action. What was it opened with? With a knife. So just remember, agent versus instrument. So the real takeaway here is that these tiny little words are absolute structural powerhouses. They're not random at all. They follow these really clear patterns of time, place, direction, and manner. So the big question is, now that you know the rules, which of these little glue words are you gonna start noticing everywhere you look?